Join us for a review of the new Audi e-tron S Sportback. Let's go! In the front we can already see a strong look here for the S model. It's not too different from the S line version that is also available. We had that recently also. You can also check out that review. So we have stronger lower bumpers here, for example, and also this grille, of course here rather closed for the EV. The S model then has the S badge right here. We have a Catalonia red color car for today, but there's also, for example, Navarra blue available, some other different colors as well. There you can see, we have it also for you in the shots, that either you come with a silver look here, for example in Navarra blue car, but here then with this vehicle you also have the black package, which is an option. Then you have the black front grille and more black accentuations all over the vehicle, depending on what you like. And here we can see wider wheel arches for the S model, 2.3 centimeters or about an inch wider on each side. 4.90 meters, 16 foot 1 or 193 inches is the length of the Audi e-tron, both the same for the Sportback and for the SUV model. Yeah, came from this side here today. And you can see here the S model then again has the painted wheel arches, same with the wheel color, and also wider both in the front and also in the rear, again for the stronger stance on the road. Charging here, the main charge point on the left side will be different than with the UK vehicle, for example. Here AC charging 11 or optional 22 kilowatt, and DC 150 kilowatt max, here with the bigger battery version that automatically comes with the S. By the way, you can even go up to 22-inch wheels, optional, but that of course reduces the comfort. The Audi e-tron in general comes with air suspension as a standard in the S line, and also here in the S model the air suspension has a stiffer setup. Here even a little bit stiffer, and you cannot de-pick it. In the S line you can go for the soft setup optional, and here you always have the stiffer air suspension setup according to the model. And then let's talk about the technology, because this is really different here with the e-tron S. So usually you have an electric motor in the front and also one at the rear. Here actually they put the rear electric motor from the normal rear to the front of this car, and then at the rear here they put two electric motors, so one per side, one per wheel. So overall 3 electric motors, and because they are separate electric motors here at the rear, this enables an active torque vectoring, so you can have, for example, more power at one side when you are in the corner. That is in difference to a passive torque vectoring where you use brake intervention to create the power difference between the wheels. And of course, we will experience this one today on the racetrack. So let's take a look under the hood here. And well, there's a storage space here for your cables, the so-called frunk. Of course, a nice solution then, although there could be more space. But remember, this was not originally an all-electric platform, so it's more an adapted electric vehicle, so to say. And we can see some of the electric components right here. And let me talk about the figures. First of all, there are 2 different battery sizes for an Audi e-tron in general. Here, the e-tron S gets the bigger battery automatically, and that is 95 kilowatt hours of capacity gross. The net would be 86 kilowatt hours. With that, you can also then calculate according to the energy consumption, which is about, in our test here, about 25 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. Then you can also calculate the range, which is about 320 kilometers of range or about 200 miles of range, whereas the non-S model was a little bit better, 370 kilometers or 230 miles. So you lose a little bit of range due to the new hardware setup, but of course you get more power. 500 horsepower is the power peak and almost 1,000 Newton meters of torque. That's of course very massive. Acceleration figure 4.5 seconds to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour, and this is really faster than the other model, which would have 5.7 seconds, so almost 1.5 seconds quicker than in the acceleration test. nice Alcantara touch here for the S model, also soft touch above that. Very good for the buttons. So the window buttons here with the clicking sound. Then the digital mirrors here, again an option. You can see an Audi A3 sedan, and you can also adjust the height and also how exactly you want to see. And for the other side, you just switch it here, and then you see there's nothing happening here, but the same that happened before here is just happening on the other side, so at the second mirror, and also like this. So it depends really on the brightness outside, day and night, and so on. The good thing is you don't have a blind spot, but then again, it is, so to say, an unrealistic view in comparison to a mirror. You rather have a flat view. To me, it doesn't really function that well with the brain because, you know, when you have a mirror, it's more plastic, it's more three-dimensional, and here you're a little bit disconnected from reality. That's how I experience it. Then, S entry badge in the lower part here for the S vehicle, of course. We know that also from other S-line vehicles, for example. Then we have a steering wheel also with the S badging and some contrast stitches on the inside, right there. Soon more about the virtual instruments and so on. And the S model also comes standard with sport seats. It starts with standard sport seats with separated head restraints, and optional these here, the S sport seats with integrated head restraints. Usually both come with Alcantara on the inside as standard. Here optional animal skin. It also depends on the market. Sadly, so much animal skin use, of course, not really useful at all, and especially not useful for a sporty vehicle and also for a vehicle that's supposed to be more sustainable. Yeah, they really have to work on that. At least the European setup would be majorly Alcantara on the inside. And here the cockpit overview. Again, a very clean setup, hardly any real buttons left. Then you have this huge console here in the top part, here also with a special structure. Very interesting. The e-tron badge will be illuminated at night, for example. Soft touch materials also on the top of the dashboard. Here again you see this dual screen setup, 10.1 inch and 8.6 inch, and they also interact with each other. I'll soon show you more to that. Then here the steering wheel with these huge gaps. Right side you have a volume control, left side you control the digital instruments, and soon we'll also show you more details to these. And you also have here then electric control of the steering wheel. You can have a different view like this, and of course you can also put in the GPS map, either just small or also all the way over the place. Now to the central infotainment unit. There is a good overview menu. This is also here another possibility to have some, like quick access, but I rather just use this view here. And then, for example, you have the car menu where there you can have the auto drive select. It's also possible to pick it in the lower part with the arrows. And you can see that the air suspension adapts to the driving mode. Here, for example, in dynamic mode, we go a little bit lower. Other than that, what is also interesting is here, charging and efficiency assist. Here, when you set it to automatic recuperation, the car rather does it itself and always resets your command on the steering wheel with the pedals. When you have set it here to manual, then it sticks with the mode you have set with the shifting pedals, and probably also what I would actually go for. And now a look at the head-up display here of the Audi e-tron S. It's a very nice option, and you can see the current speed, the allowed speed, and also some GPS information. By the way, the top speed here of the e-tron S is 210 kilometers an hour or 130 miles an hour. And now to the rear, also easy entry, and you have enough legroom right here, so for tall adults absolutely no problem. This is the sportback, so there is a little bit less headroom, but you can see here with one with A6 or 6.1, even if I put myself back, it still works. Of course, the SUV classic form would continue a little bit further here and obviously a little bit more space if you're, for example, even taller than me. We have some manual shades here, especially for the kids also, and it's really good, nice and upright seating position here in the rear, so can't complain about that at all. It's really good also for longer term. So let's open this electric hatch. Instead of 600 liters with the SUV, you have 555 liters here with the Sportback. The only thing you lose here is a little bit height right here, but I think you can rather live with that. So still very well usable trunk. This one can be removed actually, and below this net you can also remove that. It's also quite good to secure some things. There's a little bit more storage here. You can see it also would work with a replacement tire actually. Welcome to Thomas's Active Driving Lounge with the Audi e-tron Sportback S or e-tron S Sportback, however you want to take it. We're here in the Audi test center and therefore I can really accelerate it out. 4.5 seconds to 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour is the official figure. Can we reach it? Dynamic mode, S shifting mode, maximum 500 horsepower at the peak and almost 1,000 Newton meters of torque. Let's see, and then I'll also turn some, short laps here for the corners and stuff. Let's go. Whoa, nice. That was 145 kilometers an hour, so quick. I reduced the speed right there because there were some birds flying over the road. Of course, safety for the birds is way more important than us accelerating it out further. Wow, really cool. And I mean, how silent and smooth this acceleration came. Of course, here the Tesla Model S Performance or the Model 3 Performance model, they give you more boost, but this is of course here also a heavy car and still really cool from that performance. And of course you do feel a difference to the normal e-tron models here, 1.5 seconds faster. And what else is important? It's the cornering. When I'm going out of the corner here, I feel it's a little bit more agile, a little bit lighter. And here the air suspension setup is even a little bit stiffer. That too. So, and why is that actually? So, first of all, the air suspension hardware is the same as we would get with the S-Line model. But here in the true S model, it has a little bit stiffer setup then, and also in dynamic mode. And here when we accelerate out the corner, we can use this new torque vectoring system because we now have these two electric motors at the rear, one at the front. The bigger one from the rear is put to the front here. From the rear from the normal model, front in this model, but then two new electric motors in the rear, one per wheel so to say, and that means there's an active torque vectoring. So here now in the left corner, the right wheel, the electric motor in the right wheel can give us more torque, and maybe you also heard that. So there's some kind of drifting possible. Not really, but just a little bit, tighter corners. Yeah, I feel that I'm a little bit getting pushed out of the corner. Very interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's still a heavy and big vehicle, but considering it's such a big and heavy vehicle, it drives astonishingly agile. Really cool. Now we're taking the corner a little bit tighter here. Yeah, pushing a little bit over the front wheels, but definitely this electric all-wheel drive is rear-wheel bias, so there's more power at the rear definitely. And again, this new torque vectoring makes the car even a little bit more agile. There was torque vectoring before, yes. However, that was a passive torque vectoring by braking in the inner wheel. Here they don't need to brake in the inner wheel, they can just accelerate the outer wheel a little bit more. And that's the key then for a more agile driving experience. Here again, some slalom. Again, it feels like a smaller vehicle and the electric drive makes it so agile, and look at how precise the steering is actually. So there's no dead zone area and all my commands into the steering wheel are really transported onto the road. And I'll really push it again here outside of the corner. There we go. So a very fun driving experience. Hardly ever was such a big SUV so sporty to drive. So we know the Tesla Model X has of course a better range figure so to say, but driving agility wise the Audi really leads it. Yeah, they do have a problem with the animal skin seats here, definitely same as today, but driving wise, wow, really such a pleasure to drive this vehicle once again. It's not that this S model here is feeling like a completely different vehicle, like the non-S. Especially recently drove the S line, but definitely you feel a little sportier tuned then, suspension-wise, and then this torque vectoring together with the plus in horsepower that gives us a little bit more sporty fun, a little bit more boost. So really impressed here what we experienced on the test track. And now to our conclusion for today with the Audi e-tron S Sportback. Again, S version both for the Sportback and also for the normal SUV. And what does it actually change? First of all, the exterior. I mean, the S line was already quite sporty. This one then a little bit bolder also, especially here with the wheel arches left and right. So interior, not too many changes, little notch here and there. Of course, what's missing are more animal skin alternatives in the higher trims. Overall, the build quality is really high. The sound system, the optional one, really expensive, but a very good performance definitely. And also the whole user interface, I think, is also pretty easy to learn. Then driving-wise, this car in general, both SUV and Sportback, is really, really impressive. So it handles so well. It handles like a smaller vehicle, although it's big and very, very heavy. With the new torque vectoring system, with the additional electric motor, with 2 electric motors at the rear, you can get out of the corners a little bit quicker. However, you rather feel this effect when you really push the vehicle. So for everyday driving life, it won't make the biggest difference. The acceleration, of course, is faster. You will notice that in this sport version here. However, you have the more power, yes, but then also because of this different hardware setup from the electric motors, the range will also drop a little bit. Whereas with the normal version, bigger battery, we had about 370 kilometers of range, so about 230 miles. Here, in the S version, we are about 320 kilometers of range, which would only be about 200 miles. So yes, the range drops a little bit. However, you would not buy this car if you want to cover long distances anyway. This wouldn't be the main goal of this vehicle. Still, it's a very cool and sporty, attractive version. I would rather go for the non-S version to have a little bit more range. It's already fast enough and it's also a little bit less expensive, because if you think here for the additional S setup with the additional motor also in the rear, you pay about 15,000 euros or dollars extra. You get the sportier package, definitely, if you want that. Of course, you can also go a little bit more cost effective. But definitely very impressive what this car could deliver here on the racetrack today or on the test track. Because driving-wise, from the driving agility, I think there's nothing that comes close to it in this very segment, both EV and combustion engine. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning in, and also tune in to more electric vehicle reviews here. We will link some of the interesting ones in the video description and in the pinned comment. See you there.